about it, while it may be very difficult or perhaps impossible to change in any revolutionary way our economic situation for a long time to come, we can change our consciousness, and through consciousness we can literally change the world. And that is why these are not just facts. We do not just come, as academics usually do, to give a new set of facts, because facts are not necessarily truth. Facts need to be breathed into. Facts have to have a quality, a vision. Because as I discovered when I began to study Native America, the prehistory of America closely, I found the people who had the most facts had the least truth. It has to do with a certain vision, a certain eye. Why did American scientists have to discover the steel-making machine? Why didn't the British discover it? They were there much longer. No. They assumed that the Africans had only achieved 1,250 degrees centigrade in their blast furnaces. How did they arrive at that scientific conclusion? Because that was roughly the lowest temperature at which you could smelt iron, and the Africans were the lowest people. And there was no question that they did smelt iron, so that was their centigrade. There was no proper scientific study of their machines. Nobody went and asked them. I know that. When I was in East Africa, I was sent out by the School of Oriental and African Studies, London University right here. I was sent to get a list of legal terms. They didn't expect me to produce a dictionary. They like this piecemeal nonsense. You go out and you do your little thing. Somebody goes out and studies hesitation phenomena. I met a girl doing a PhD in hesitation phenomena. I said, what is that? She says, you know when you're going to say something and you pause, you say or What do the Swahili say? That's our PhD. Concentration on irrelevancies, concentration on pettiness. That is why there emerges from that the image of petty African. And I asked when I was out there, I saw them making up an enormous word list. They had been spent 3 years making up an enormous word list of legal terms. And I said, and I'm not going to call names because some of these people are still living, unfortunately. But I asked them, why are you doing this? Why don't you go among the people, find out what Swahili legal terms they're using in the courts? And I remember someone turning on me. I can't remember the accent well because I've left Britain 14 years ago. Then Sertima, what are you talking about, going among the people? What writing do they have? They only started to write when we came here. I went the first day I was down in Morogoro. I found documents, long legal documents going back before the British times, almost into the German times. And it was on the basis of those documents that I was able to build slowly the dictionary of Swahili legal terms. When I came back, they said it was a landmark in Swahili studies. It was an important contribution. Yet when the time came for my degree, they said it would not be counted. Never heard about it again until I saw parts of it creeping up in the works of the published work of one of my esteemed colleagues in the United States. I want you to know, and I suppose you already know this, and that is why one speaks of this in advance, that knowledge about black people has become highly political. There is no way, and I have tried to avoid getting involved in these squabbles, but there is no way that you can present these facts without presenting the atmosphere in which one garnered these facts. When I brought out my book, They Came Before Columbus, I was pilloried. The New York Times spent 3 pages. They'd never attacked a black man like that. 3 pages trying to show it is nonsense. Packed with lies and vituperation. And then they waited when 70 professors defended me, people I don't know from Adam, including the oldest Mesoamerican archaeologists who had actually discovered the African heads in pre-Columbian America. And they spent 7 weeks to print those letters. And the letter I wrote back to my critic, it was heavily doctored. All the facts, just statements. Every time I tried to substantiate what I was saying, they deleted it. They put ... This is not a joke. This has become a very serious matter. I was denied permanent residence in the United States for 9 years. People just walk in like that and get permanent residence for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I could not travel outside of America without being on parole. They had a little thing, my picture. I'm on parole. I had to go to Trinidad on parole, on the country arrest. Why do these things happen? Surely knowledge of this nature is recognized as being very revolutionary, very serious. But let me come back to my subject. The discovery just a few months after the steel-making machine by Lynch and Robbins, they discovered an astronomical observatory, a kind of African Stonehenge, at Namoratunga in northwest Kenya. Namoratunga, the place of stones. They discovered that the Africans there in Kenya had developed an astronomical observatory. It looked at first like just a scrabble of stones, but when the stones were properly studied, they were in precise alignment, the constellation of stars, and they were able to show that these Africans had built an accurate prehistoric calendar 300 years before Christ in Kenya, which is at least 100 years before the father, so-called father of modern astronomy. And this was not their first calendar. I don't want to touch on Egypt now because Sheikh Anthony Upper said enough about that. But let me point to the fact that the calendar we use today is derived from the Egyptian. They were the first people to invent the second of time, the second of art, the hour, the minute. Their astronomical observations over many years produced these ideas, these precise quantities and volumes and times and standards which were later to dominate the world. The Babylonians did not have any proper calendar. The Egyptians had the 365 and a quarter days and the 365. And they took that quarter and they stretched it out over a long period of time. They dealt with that quarter. And they put 5 festival days at the end of the year, festival of the gods, and they split the year equally into 12 months of 30 days each. When the Greeks took it over, then they spread it out. As a result, today we have 28-day months, 29-day months, 30-day months, 31-day months. We need a rhyme in order to remember which is which. That calendar was invented in Ethiopia since 4241 BC. And before I leave Egypt, as I say, I don't want to dwell too much on that, but other parts of Africa. But before I leave that, let me mention the discovery, the significant discovery, which Sheikh Anthony pointed to today, of Ta-Seti. The discovery of a monarchy in the Nile Valley preceding the Egyptian, at least 2 centuries before the first Egyptian dynasty. And at Ta-Seti, they found not only architectural forms to which Dr. Diop pointed to this morning, they found the falcon god Horus, they found the crown, the unmistakable, the uniquely shaped crown of the Egyptians. They found the palace facades that were later used by the Egyptians, and above all, they found the hieroglyphs, so that the world's first major writing system is not even Egyptian, it is Ethiopian, it is Sudanic.